Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmer, and my pickup lines only have to work once. Joining me now, the star of the show, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Double B, Bobby Blaze.
Yeah, I caught that, Professor. That's a good one. One of your friends relayed that to me. Yep. Nate Bush, dark. I started to go right to the dark side. Hey, Jeremy, I'm not on the dark side of the ring episode yet. Not yet. But no, Nate, when I was on Wide Men Can't Jump, we might as well start there since you put it there. Yeah, he told me about your pickup line, man. Shout out to Tim and Nate. Congratulations on your 200th episode of Wide Men Can't Jump. Give them a follow if you're not already doing so. And yes, it's me, Bobby B, Double B, Bobby Blaze. Jeremy's got me all torn up because he didn't give me anything to start with except for Dark Side Go. And I'm like, fuck. We're in a good mood today. We're not in a dark side kind of mood. So he said, we're changing the title to the non-dark side of the ring. And I'm thinking dark side of the moon, and he's putting ring up there. So anyway, that's where we're at today. We're going to have a fun podcast, Professor.
That is the plan. Yeah, we're not really doing not doing a list or anything today. We're just kind of rolling some things around that have been coming up and that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did go and listen Friday night to your appearance on the Wide Men Can't Jump. It was a fun bit. I think it was Tim who told the story about my pickup line story, though.
Is that who it was? Okay. Okay. Yes, you're correct. I stand corrected. You are correct. It's your fucking line. Of course you are.
Yeah.
I loved it though.
But yeah, that was a good appearance. Congratulations, guys, on 200 episodes. Yeah, Bobby, your recording equipment all sounded really good. Your voice was nice and strong the whole time. It was a really well put together episode. So congratulations, guys. That's a hell of an accomplishment. 200 episodes.
Mm-hmm. That is, man. That's cool. And hell, we've passed 100. We're pushing out there again too. Now we're not to 200, but we're well away from 100.
I think
so.
I bet we might be in the 150s or 60s now.
I was thinking 150 is what I was thinking. It's been a hot minute since we've done our 100th. So yeah, and we haven't missed. We have been consistent now for over a year.
In 3 months?
Well, yeah, 3 months. This is July, August. Yeah, you're 15 months, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We've been doing good, man. And that's just because, we did that first 18 months and just some things were going on. We had an agreement to do 18 months, so we did it kind of on the fly because we had a normal time we was recording, and that got mixed up, and another time came, and the next thing you know, we both had different times that we couldn't record. And anyway, we got back on track, and then shit hit the fan, as so they say. You had some things, I had some things, and finally we took that little hiatus, but we came back fucking strong, man. We came back, the boys are back in town kind of thing. But also, as I was telling Nate the other day, one of his favorite episodes of this podcast is the pre-NWA title match. Or pre-NWA title program. And I had told him, if you haven't listened to that episode, fans, do so. But I said, Jeremy had done so much in-depth research on that, I gave all credit to that because you sent me the notes just to blend in and catch up with my history to gain knowledge on, on our business. And, yeah, it was an awesome episode, but it was because you had put so much effort into it because you was kind of going another way at that point if we didn't get back together.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of research is what I was getting at. You put it together good.
Well,
that in the NWA went straight through, obviously.
Well, I was working on an idea for a YouTube show / podcast kind of shared thing. Well, you know what? We'll go ahead and do this all at the same time. Bobby, yesterday, Kentucky played South Carolina.
Yes.
Which brings me around to talking about our old friend Tex.
Yes, I was hoping you would.
Yeah, who, on top of all that shit, because when you and I were going to start the show, my dad died. And then a couple months later, we were going to start it, and then I lost my job. And then we went ahead and started it in June. Come the start of 2019, I had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks later, I found out I was getting divorced. So I was a fucking dumpster fire of stupidity for an extended period of time. Of course, going into 2020, you had problems that we couldn't foresee.
Yep.
And then on top of all of that shit, our pal Tex, who was kind of our invisible third leg here very often, the guy that ran our YouTube channel, who would write stuff. He was also our third, basically, writer of the episodes when it came to taking notes, when we'd go like, hey, here's our topic.
Right.
Tex, what are your thoughts on this? And we'd kind of all kind of spitball shit together. Well, we get a text one day. I remember if it was November or December or what, but it was text just basically said, hey, my wife died this morning.
Yeah, it was November. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah. And then we were going into 6 months later, you and I started talking on Twitter about maybe redoing the show or doing something with the show again. And then as soon as that started, Tex was in the hospital.
Yep.
And then in the summer, later in the summer, I get a message from Nate from Weidman one day and said, hey, did we lose Tex? I jump over on his Facebook page, and even though the day before Tex was doing good, sounded strong, he passed away that morning. So then I turned around and called you.
Yep.
So that was a ton of the shit that was going on.
Yeah. And I went for a long walk that day when you messaged me that. Yeah, he was on my mind yesterday. Kentucky, way to go, Big Blue Nation out there. I do follow some sports. I just like seeing a good game, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anything to do other than I had planned on listening to or watching the UK game last night, which I ended up doing. They was playing South Carolina, and, of course, that's where Tex was from, and he was a season ticket holder, and they played in South Carolina, like I said. So, and Kentucky won, so way to go on that. But, yeah, Tex said that, during football season, his wife felt like, all kidding, just kidding a little bit, a seriousness aside here for a sec. He said she felt like, she was a second fiddle to college football when South Carolina played, that he had a mistress, But, yeah, that's exactly the way it went down. And like I said, when we got that news, I had spoken to Tex about a week before his passing. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. I lie. A week before his bone marrow transplant.
Right.
And he said, man, Bob, you caught me on a great day. I feel great, like nothing's happening. I feel, just he talked, and he had that grab one of the mouth, just kind of, southern draw way more than myself, well, and has it
he had that muddy Carolinas accent.
Yes, yeah. Real, yeah. But we had a real nice conversation, and then of course he said, if this don't take, he was going to stay up about it. And he did. I think that took place in July. He hung on until September, and like I said, once you got that call. To me, I was like, I just went for a long walk, man, and cleared my mind. But we missed Tex, and that's one of the reasons I sent you a message yesterday. That, and the thing is, so everyone understands this, and I think our fans do. During that hiatus, there was no heat between Jeremy and myself. We had just come to an agreement we were going to do 18 months, and we did, and everything was just kind of like Jeremy just mentioned. I won't be redundant about it. Shit was happening, man.
Yeah.
And we took a break. We stayed in touch either via Twitter or via twice in there on the phone. Happy Merry Christmas or something. I don't even know, but I'm just saying it wasn't like fuck you, let's not do it. No, it was just like, man, we need to stop. Yeah. We didn't even have the time to get together an hour a week and try to record what it was. We just there was a shit going on in the world, man. And sometime during COVID, we both March, April, somewhere we started talking more serious. Like, well, no, actually, it's probably April, May, because like, fuck, what are you gonna do? Stay locked in. Let's start it back. I think. A couple people said, man, why don't you guys get back on that podcast? A couple of fans, sent us little messages and like, hey, why not, man? We're home now anyway.
Well, yeah.
So we put our mask on and we got back on it and we've been on it ever since.
Yep.
So
where I was headed with that was, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. I just didn't want to lose my train of thought. Like Tim Dombrova from Weidman, he's like, hey, you could, start a show called Pro Wrestling 101 with the professor. And then I talked to Tex, because Tex had written a couple narrated episodes for us that we just didn't get around to. But I was like, well, maybe I can do something with this idea and, do a singular narrated episode about. And I said, okay, well, if we go to pro wrestling, we start in 1905. And so that's where the birth of our first handful of episodes following the world title comes from that. So very much part of Texas legacy as well. Yeah.
And then I think Chad Nate and a couple other people like, hey guys, why don't y'all put this back together out there on Twitter, almost like, kind of caught us out in public, if you will. Yeah. But we were writing little things along the line saying we might have something coming. And Tex came on board just so grassroots, like, man, he just we did that GoFundMe. I put out $350 is all we put out, just enough to do 18 episodes at a $20 hosting fee. And he donated $30 right away, and everyone that donated, again, thank you all very much. I know Nate did, I know William Harding did, and I don't want to leave anyone off, but several people did. I think I threw in 20 or whatever it was. I'm just saying, people reached out and we got enough to get us by. We weren't trying to get rich, but anyway, Tex just kind of put on there, putting us over on Twitter, and I imagine probably Facebook or elsewhere, about, hey, these two guys, man, they got a pretty good show. You ought to give them a listen. And he sent us a little thing and said, hey, it's just something I put together. If you don't like it, it's no big deal. But what do you think about this video? And he sent us a nice little package. And like the professor said, eventually he wrote I found it the other day. It is on my email still. He has a personal story about him and meeting the assassin. But also, I know, like we talked about last week when we did the Ted DiBiase episode, thank you all for the fans that did listen. We appreciate that. It was a good topic. Ended up being a really good podcast. So go back and listen if you haven't. But Tex just was like, he did a thing on West Texas State. And I know that professor's got that in kind of a holding card as well, something we might do in the future. Yeah. So he got a research on that. But yeah, we miss old Tex, man. And we're glad that we made friends with him and that he contributed to this podcast. So we just kind of, I don't know, like I said last night, just because that game was on, it just kind of gave me a memory, like, okay, let's bring this up tomorrow. We're going to have a show tomorrow, just about everything anyway. So.
Well, and for newer listeners, if you wonder who the third person I'm signing off for every week.
Right.
That's who and that's why.
Yes. There you go.
Obviously, if you're listening to us right now, you're a podcast fan. But have you ever wanted to have your own podcast? If so, let me tell you a little bit about Anchor.fm. Their hosting is completely free, which is great. I'm used to paying $20, $40, even $60 a month for hosting. They have their creation tools right on the site or on your phone, so you can make your podcast right there on their website or on their app. Boom. You can even add songs from Spotify directly to your episodes. Anchor will even handle the distribution for you, so you can be heard on Apple, Google, Spotify, and many, many more. Also, you can make money from your podcast day one with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or head to anchor.fm to get started today.
Go. Thank you. That's what I went around the world to cross the sidewalk, and the professor goes right across the damn street and tells you what the fucking point was. So here we go, Jeremy. Something I need to bring up. Time Warp, man.
Yes.
They're our newest sponsor. They've come on board as a sponsor now. Earl, want to say thank you very much. We appreciate that. They have 3 locations, one in downtown Ashland, and they have 2 at the Ashland Town Center Mall. They have a kiosk, and they also have a brick and mortar store inside, the mall there, and they're good people, and it's a very nice, hobby shop, I guess, if you will.
Collectibles.
Collectibles.
Cover it though.
No, it's everything, man. anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to Earl down at the Time Warp. We appreciate you becoming a sponsor, and you'll be hearing some commercials coming up pretty soon, man. And we appreciate that sponsorship. If you're interested, get a hold of myself or the professor, and one of us will cut you. I assure you'll be much better than what I'm telling you right now. A professional 30 to 60 second commercial spot, and just get a hold of us. We'll tell you about the pricing and what have you, how you can become a sponsor of the Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze podcast. Thanks again, Earl, for stepping up and becoming a sponsor. I think he's going to be a sponsor for the next several episodes, and we appreciate that. So
very much so. Very
appreciate
much so,
it. Yes,
because all the money we're getting from that is basically going to go into us advertising the show to try to get new listeners. So it's
absolutely,
that's where that's all.
Absolutely, and maybe a beer,
maybe
one. Okay,
two maybe.
Okay. Yeah, but no, we appreciate that. Also, books. Let me get this out of the way. Yeah. Jeremy at the top here. Wrestling fans, man, it's we were talking about some shows in October, November coming up, which means December's right around the corner here. If you haven't already done so, if you bought you a book, good on you. I appreciate it. But you might have the wrestling fan in your family or one of your buddies. Send them a gift, man. You can gift my book to them. Just go to tinyurl.com/. Blaze Book 1, and that'll take you to Pin Me, Pay Me, have Boostful Travel, and just gift it to your friend, and then also you can go to tinyurl.com/blazebook2, and you can send them I Kicked Out on 2, The Education of a Wrestler. And both those books have done quite well. I'm not going to be a millionaire, not winning, any awards in writing or anything, but I am, working on another one, and I'm continuing to trying to work on my craft out there. But I will say I appreciate the people that have left reviews. I've gotten like one nasty comment towards me. It wasn't a review, and Amazon took that down. But the reviews have been really good because I want a fair and honest review, and that's what I've been getting when I do get reviews. People, I think it's not because they know me, because some of these people, I have no idea who they are. I've met them on Twitter or something. I've met other authors that said, man, you got a unique writing style. Keep at it. Can't wait for you to write another one. So, yeah, anyway, go over there at Amazon and follow those links and get yourself, or get one of your friends or family, the wrestling fan and your family, a book, if you will, man. And maybe the good professor will get a little bit of kickback put into his Amazon affiliate account. And believe me, when I say a little on that one, we don't make much off of that, but we both do get a smile. Hey, that damn Bobby sold a book. Or I'll say, man, all right. I tell myself, I said, man, I sold a book this week. That makes me feel good. So keep that in mind, share that, whatever.
Yeah. I think when we sell a book through that method, I think the show gets 12 cents, but I mean,
I thought it was 20. Holy cow.
Maybe it was 20.
I was thinking, I didn't want to give it away. Well, since Jeremy mentioned it, I think, Jeremy, what you told me, now you may have said 12, but in my mind, I think I had sold a couple of books, and some time went by, and I said, Jeremy, check your Amazon account. I see if they went through the Tiny URL, because I had 2 sales this week. And I thought you told me, yeah, I've got 20 cents from each of them. But it may have been 12. Nonetheless, you can see we're not making a killing off of that. But hey, it helps,
It helps. Well, I mean, the main thing is you move a book, and that's
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, man, what else? Let's see. What else we need to talk about today?
Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into a little heavier topic for a few minutes here.
Okay.
Now you were keeping an eye out on Dark Side of the Ring specifically because you thought Bruiser Bedlam was coming up this week.
Yes. Yes.
And a couple weeks ago, the plane ride from Heck. Because for some reason saying heck makes me laugh. The Plane Ride from Hell episode was out, and we didn't really comment on that.
Yeah. We figured everyone else's podcast would be talking about it, and they were. And we just we had our agenda geared towards we're going to do Ted DiBiase. We didn't take time to sit there and give it a full review or anything like that. But also most of the stuff we had already known about. I felt like we just wasn't going to give it go into great detail about it. From my understanding, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I learned anything new about it. But, and I want to be safe, delicate saying this, I guess the only thing new was we got the victim's side, to hear some of the things that took place, that we got to hear another side of it, just not the side of the boys. And also there were people on that. That's why it was the plane ride from hell kind of thing. Other people, they weren't up there having the fun and a party and doing this and doing that. Some other things were happening, and thus it just turned into an ugly, nasty situation for the stewardess, and I'm sure probably a couple others that didn't step forward as well. But anyway, that's why I didn't want to really get into it too much, because we had a really good topic. This week, I thought, and I told Jeremy, if this is the case, and I'm going to hold true to this, when they do the Bruiser Bedlam one, I'll have a whole lot more to talk about. But I thought this week was going to be on Bruiser Bedlam, but of course it was on Chris Kanyon. Who better than Kanyon, And so we ended up watching that episode, and man, it's called The Dark Side of the Ring for a reason. Kanyon, if you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and go and watch it. I'm pretty sure most of our listeners have watched it by now. And Chris came out as being the first openly gay professional wrestler was going to be the deal. Chris, I know he talked with a lisp, and I thought he told me this in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Him and James Mitchell would come in together. I think they were around the Virginia area at the time for some reason, traveling. And Kanyon actually put me over on a couple of Smoky Mountain TVs, but I thought he told me he had trouble hearing or he was deaf in one ear. Now, I've not heard that since, but he spoke with that lisp, and it just hasn't been brought up, but I'm pretty sure he told me he didn't hear too well in one of his ears. And I said, well, don't worry about it, because I'm a fucking forearm you in the same side of the head anyway, and Northern Lights just no big deal, He was there to do a job, So no, I was much cooler than that. And I'll tell you why I threw that in there. No, he put me over a couple of times, and boom, da boom, boom, boom. And then, of course, James Mitchell's on the episode, who was Darren Van Horn back in Smoky Mountain, and he is out there browbeating me every week, because I was wrestling, 3,000-year-old mummy or whatever. Right. But anyway, nonetheless, Chris was really cool, young guy, good build on him. Wasn't real big yet. He had a nice build, but he didn't have a lot of muscle maturity yet. Like he would come to, he become a lot bigger. But when I got to WCW, the reason I mentioned that, the first night I had my tryout, Raph was in the back with James Mitchell, and they was like the first two people I saw, and maybe 10 feet away was Chris. And man, they just, hey man, you got to try out tonight. Good to see you. They just really put me over, because Brian was leaving Smoky Mountain maybe 2 weeks after I got there, and Mitchell and Kanyon come in, and they was there for, I don't know, however long they worked, 3-month program that Darren, Mitchell did or whatever. And Chris came on several of those TV, like I said, always treated me really nice and got along with the guy really fine. And when I brought up the gay situation, him being a homosexual, the whole time in WCW, I never knew and never got any indication. And again, this has been very non-judgmental, just so everyone knows that. There was no rumors, there was no talk, and he didn't give any vibe that he was. And if you watch this week's episode, I guess that's the whole thing. Only James Mitchell's apparently the only one that did know. That explain that pretty good, Jeremy,
yeah, I think so. Now,
without giving away the whole episode.
Yeah, and I kind of want to comment on a few things, because I remember, and I think I remember it closer together than it was.
Yeah.
But the way I remember was Chris Kanyon put out a thing that he was gay. And then a little while later, he goes, well, I'm not gay, but my character is gay. And then a little bit later, he kind of walked that back. He's like, no, I never really meant it that way. I'm gay and my character's not. And he was doing all this kind of weird back and forth. Like he was having trouble. It was a different time. Let's just put that out there. I mean, shit. George Bush won a second election because they got anti-gay marriage votes out in most states. And that's how George Bush rode into a second election. That was just a very different time. And look, it's not like there hadn't been gay people before in wrestling.
Right.
But I'm sure it still probably wasn't the most comfortable place to be. And
right.
And Chris was having a hard time with it. And I guess he first started doing that probably around 2005, maybe. And then I believe he killed him.
Passed away in 2006, I think.
Yeah, I can't
August of 2006, April of 2006, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I don't remember how close together all that was, but it seems like that's about how it laid out.
Yeah. So apparently, and if you watch the episode, James Mitchell seems to be really forthcoming and that he was the only one that knew. And Kanyon, was having some very serious mental health issues, bipolar, and, and he was ultimately, that's how his life ended. He overdosed on, I guess, antidepressants and the medication you take for that. And that's, that's the sad end, or that's the dark side of the ring. That's what they're bringing up. We're trying not to do the non-dark side, but just saying, he was very talented, very easy to get along with. I was telling just someone the other day at the gym after it came out, someone asked me about it. I was like, here's the thing about him. I remember no one ever saying anything bad about him, and people saying that because he was working out down at the power plant. It's like, man, I can't wait to see what Kanyon comes up with next. And they'd be going to some of the younger guys at the power plant that was just doing some early TVs. They'd be like, yeah, I can't wait to get back to see what he's going to teach us next, that kind of thing, or what he's going to bring out on, and guys at the show, even DDP's on the show, a couple other people, like they really enjoyed working with him because he could break out something new, innovative, if you would, innovator of offense, I guess.
Yeah,
so
I'll tell you what, if he was wrestling right now, if he was in his prime right now, he'd be a major fucking star.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, all of his contract stuff and everything like that. I guess, he wrote some letters to Stephanie and, it's all brought on that dark side, but he went back and was doing, the guy you seemed like, I think your son got to know some as that Brian Cage is on there. And he talks about, Kanyon showing up in his hometown and, getting on a show, an independent show and put him over. So no, kid, you're going over, and, that's pretty cool stuff like that. But like I said, just going to throw this out there, Jeremy. It seems like we're doing this more and more, but I'm going to do it anyway. 1-800-273-8255 That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So, again, 1-800-273-8255 That's TALK, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Don't make the, get a drink of water. Don't make that's not your final destination, if you will, man. There's help out there. Reach out to someone if you're experiencing those problems, manic depressive, bipolar, just depression, anxiety, and you think this is it. It doesn't have to be the final solution for you. And while I'm on that, I'll put myself out there. I'm on Twitter at BobbyBlaze744. Shoot me a DM and say, hey, man, what's that number? Or, hey, you got a second or whatever, Professor. If you feel free, you can give out your Twitter account, but the joint account is Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter also. So hit us up on one of those, and I'll let Professor decide if he wants to give one and let him tell you what he's going to tell you.
Oh shit, man! My info's all out there. So at the Geekish Cast, you can find me.
There you go.
And I don't always check that one real often. Like during the day, I don't. During the day, that's the one I check. At nighttime, I check the group one. Sorry, I was looking backwards there for a minute. But this is shit. I mean, I'd hate to do a list sometime, but I mean, if you were to start listing out everybody from pro wrestling, I mean, and I'm not that that's the only one that matters. It's just that's what we talk about here. If you start listing out everybody who has attempted or successfully committed suicide just from that industry, you end up with a long fucking list.
Yeah. So anyway, because that's what like you said, that's what we do our program on. So you know, you don't have to be a wrestling fan or a fan of our podcast, but if you happen to be listening and you dealt with something or dealing with something like that, we put it out there. And that's one of the things that Tex, actually, go back to Tex, one of our earlier episodes, I can't remember, and if I did, I probably wouldn't say the name, but someone had passed away, and you and I, you gave a bit of a testimony and opened up some, and you and I talked about a couple things, and we basically put that out there, and a couple of people really hit us back hard on that, saying, man, these guys really care about their listening audience and about pro wrestling, because they even put out the Suicide Prevention Lifeline number during one of their podcasts and reaching out to people. So, we didn't do it to get over. It just got us over, so we kind of just kept it as part of the program. And like I said, sadly, we put it out. We've been putting it out there more than I'd like to, but because it's just that's one of the dark side things, and we're doing non-dark side. I'll leave it at that.
That's right.
Anything else in between, Professor? Because I'm going to jump up here to something that's coming up in my neck of the woods this coming Saturday. I want to bring that up, but you want to jump to anything else in there before I do that?
You know what? Hold on to your thoughts.
I think you had a question or something.
Yeah. I kind of was wondering about this week. I mean, as entertaining as I have found it, I have also found it really hard to watch at times. Is the dark side of the ring a good thing for wrestlers or even the fans?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, that's going to be our question of the week. Hit us up on Twitter. Like I said, the Geekish Cast, Bobby Blaze 744, the Bell to Bell Blaze. And is it good for the business or for the fans? I'll tell you what, man. I've watched every episode except for two. I have not watched the one on China, nor have I watched the one on the North Korea tour. But and I'm saving them for, I don't know, maybe a snow day or something. I just haven't watched them. But sometimes I've had a hard time watching them, and I don't watch them maybe that evening when they come out if I'm not in a right frame of mind. I will not watch it that evening. I'll wait a couple of days. This Canyon one, I was not going to watch Thursday. I stopped it. I watched it Friday evening, which was a good choice on my decision to do so. The plane ride from hell, I knew that would just be barring, what it was. I was like, okay, I'll just watch this because whatever. But some of them are really hard to watch from being in a sport of professional wrestling. I've heard a couple other people, I'll mention names on other podcasts, talking about the Benoit one that they got up and left the room and cried or this and that. I sat through those two where it was a two-part, episodes. It was hard, man. It was hard because I knew Chris, and I knew so much about what was kind of just from being around him and people I knew I knew him and stuff. It was, things like that. So I don't know. Sometimes I think obviously it's a freedom of choice. You can turn the channel on or not turn the channel on. As a wrestler, I find it very disturbing and hard to watch at times. And I'm going to be redundant. I have to be in a right frame of mind to watch it. Otherwise, I will be very, very sad and depressed watching it, and I don't want to be. I'm watching it to try to learn more about it or about that particular person or that episode, stuff that they are revealing. So as a wrestler, it could go either way. Now, as a fan, I think it's good because the fans, they love wrestling, anything wrestling. I have people ask me all the time, hey, do you watch the I almost say AEW, the A&E biography channel? Did you watch that special? Did you watch this? People just, if I see someone at the bank, they'll say, oh, did you watch the one, again, it's the AE, the biographies, the different ones. And I'm like, yeah, well, because they're wrestling fans. Oh, do you watch that Dark Side? And, so I generally, without even watching a lot of updated programming, such as WWE or AEW, Impact, etc., I catch wind from just being around, being around town or around some other, younger wrestlers or what have you that say, man, Bobby, you ought to see this. And so I watch what I can, but I choose to. And honestly, I choose to watch the dark side of the ring. But again, I have to be in the right frame of mind. Yeah. Do you think the fans, Jeremy, do you think it's good for the fans?
For the fans, I get that we like to see behind the curtain. Like I saw a thing the other day, which I thought was ridiculous, but like one of the groups I'm in on Facebook, somebody was writing about what their day was like, and they worked in a factory, but they put it all in wrestling terms. I think, getting too far inside of anything isn't good for a fan to begin with,
Okay.
I mean, you should know a little bit about it, but like there are certain things like this whole thing going on now with like cancel Flair, cancel Tommy Dreamer. Guys, it was 20 years ago.
Right.
And was the behavior bad and appalling? Yeah, it was fucking terrible. Do a bunch of assholes in a room together who are getting drunk and high tend to fucking wind each other up and shit that would not normally happen? Does it happen? Yeah, it does. And, it's appalling. It's terrible. It's gross. It was 20 years ago. I don't know that now is the time to go and do it.
That was my conversation with a couple buddies last night, Professor. Yeah. They basically, they're fans. They were fans of Flair. They're fans of wrestling. They just were saying like, hey, they laughed at some of it, about him doing the helicopter. And then, of course, they weren't being assholes, being like, putting a woman down or anything. They were just like, here's the deal, man. It was 20 years ago. Something should have been done now. They shouldn't be canceling these people, today. And that was kind of our conversation. That's actually the kind of way it went. Maybe that's just a male's perspective, but it's just a couple guys talking. Yeah. And just like you and I are now, is like, times were different. It was terrible that it happened the way it did. But, you get a bunch of the guys together or the boys together and, you get a few cocktails and a few other things in your body or what have you. The boys are always fucking up for themselves, but again, that was 20 years ago. Now is not the time to be, crucifying these guys or canceling guys or anything like that. It happened, and it's over with. I'm just not that. I don't even understand that whole cancer culture thing anyway. When someone done something so far long ago, and they've obviously apologized and made amends or what have you.
Yeah, but look, that woman, that was something that shouldn't have happened to her. I mean, I'm not going to even.
Right. Oh, I know. I agree. Yeah.
And I just don't.
And I don't know that she's the only one.
No, that's just it. And this one person came forward. That's the person we got to hear from. And look, we all heard that story for years. We all heard about how fucking insane this was. We just hadn't heard the victim who said, hey, here's this fucking gross thing that happened. I'll tell you what. Yeah. When I was listening to this show, I'll tell you what fucking horrified me more than anything else was the idea of Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig slamming into the fuselage of a fucking flying plane.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to go through the exit door. I'll tell you what, they could have punched a hole through that fucking wall real easy. And, 500. That's 550 fucking pounds of nothing but muscle between those two, nailing the walls with each other. I would have been like, you motherfuckers sit down or I'm shooting both of you. There would have been no fucking going around it,
Yeah, I'm nervous enough when a fucking flight in when I see two grown men up there knocking fucking bodies and this and that, man. But anyway, damn. Yeah. So there's your question, fans. Is Dark Side of the Ring good for the business and or good for the fans? Again, hit us up at Twitter, Bobby Blaze 744, Jeremy at the Geekcast, or the joint account at Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter. Also, you can find that link on Facebook. From my understanding, Jeremy's got that going up pretty good. I am not on Facebook. That's just my decision. As one of my friends told me last night, they said, good for you, and it's probably best for you. They know me, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah. But they asked me, said, how many Twitter followers you got now? Because they know that's what I used. And again, this was just a brief conversation. I ran into a couple buddies on a Saturday evening, actually before we went to watch the UK game. We were heading separate places to watch it, but we had ran into each other and just brought that up. And I was like, I do Twitter for a reason. I really enjoy it. And I don't do Facebook for a reason because I don't enjoy it, But again, Jeremy does have the Bell to Bell Blaze over there on our Facebook page. So that's cool, man. Also, Jeremy, while we're talking about that, before we jump ahead to October 2nd, we got a website, man, thebelltobellblaze.com. Go there to the website, check it out. We got some cool merch. Jeremy's got some cool pictures up there. Some blogs are coming. Professor talked about the NWA show. We got the Beckley show that I did with Jerry the King Lawler on there. We've got the King Slayer shirts. We got the Pin Me, Pay Me shirts, which I got mine and wore to the gym last week after it came in. It was awesome. We'll be wearing it this week. I got my T-shirt rotation right on the back of my couch here, Jeremy. I'm looking right at it. In this excellent home studio I have. But yeah, go over and visit us at thebelltobellblaze.com on our website, man, and check it out.
Well, and you can leave us a message there by voicemail, or I believe you can leave comments there as well. It's a website that has a lot of functionality that we haven't even really scratched the top of. Yeah. We have recently added the video section, which goes to our new YouTube page, which I'm going to be uploading Tex's old videos to this one. But
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to do it. And I'm going to be putting up the new podcasts as episodes on here, but they're not going to be nearly as good as what Tex did with them.
That's all right. That's all right. At least we're getting them out there. What I was going to tell you is the professor had sent out word last week. If you have an upcoming show and you'd like us, if you're a promoter or, one of the boys and you got a big show coming up, let us know about it. We may promote it on that page for you. I know I send out retweets for a couple of different companies, that hit me up. Hey, can you give our program whether it be a podcast or a book or, again, it seems like the wrestling promoters seem to be a little bit behind on this, that they don't, send me something. And that's fine. That's your choice. But we'll be glad to put it up on there, on our site. The only thing I have right now is, I know a couple shows that are going on in my area. And the one I'm going to bring up right now is October 2nd, Jeremy, next Saturday. I want to put this out there. It's Fight Night. It's The Future Is Ours. It's October 2nd at 7 p.m., Ironton, Ohio. We're at the Elks Lodge this time. The show has tickets available at the Time Warp, of course, or you can get them a day of the show. Again, that's at the Elks Lodge in Ironton, Ohio. Just going to give you a brief rundown real quickly. It's going to be a student show. That's why it's The Future Is Ours. We've got the Art of Grappling School that myself and Jillian Hall helped train at. And also coming in is Chance Profit from Body Slam Academy. He's bringing several of his students in. Some of the students, we've got just going to have some student matches, but there's also for exhibition, etc. But we have our very first graduate. I'll go ahead and throw this guy out there. Sleazy E. This young man is a manager in training, and he's got a kill chair, and I'll explain that after the show as he makes his next debut. He's been on a couple little shows here for FTC, but he's been traveling around a little bit and getting quite a few bookings, and happy to see that and been helping him with some training. And I'll go further into Sleazy E's story at another time. Misery will be on the show, just so you know. Man, he's just a big, cock-strong guy, about 6'7", 320 pounds, great look, very intense, hard-hitting in the ring. There's no holding back with his intensity. if you like see someone work stiff and solid, he's the one to watch, man, because he's so damn aggressive. But the girls, man, Jillian Hall is going to be there representing the girls, monitoring their agenting their match, if you will. We've got Reese Ramon. She's going to be, this is one of her matches, and she's had probably about 5 or 6 matches now. She's a nice young looking lady. She's a majorette at Marshall University, and man, her training has just intensified, so I'm happy for Reese. And also Judy Ray Hendricks is going to be involved in the match, and Judy Ray, she's been just coming on strong here in the tri-state area, and she's actually taking some bookings outside the tri-state area now and getting her name out there. She's coming on, for a female wrestler in this area. She's been hitting the gym good. She's been hitting her training good. Just really, being a student of the game. So I'm sure we'll have some action-packed ladies matches on the card. I know Brock Bronston is going to be on there, the bully's bully. I don't know if he's supposed to be the anti-bully or the bully, but also Titan Troy is going to be on a show, and I was saving this one for last. I know Casey King will be in a building, but of course he's rehabbing his knee, so I'm not trying to draw an angle out of anything. I'm just telling you. But I tell you who else is coming in. That damn Jock Sampson is coming. So I'm going to try to get Jock Sampson to commit to an interview on our program because we did have Casey on here. The only thing I know about Jock right now, in recent talking to him, he is hot. Again, I'm not drawing an angle. I'm just telling you, he's come to FTC before and been a champion there and had a program with Casey King. And so now he's coming in and he's going to be wrestling one of the students from the FTC, the Art of Grappling School that we have, and he's fucking hot. That he's not in a title match because there isn't a title match. It's for the students, and he's mad that he's got to wrestle a student, not maybe a future champion, but just someone on the up and coming right now. And I think he feel like his hand is forced that the way the booking went on this show that I had nothing to do with, just letting you know that he's going to not be wrestling like Misery or Chance Prophet, someone at that level. He's going to be wrestling a student, and I dare say I saw his promo. He sent me one. He said, "Bobby, fuck you. What do you think about this?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, Jock?" And he said, "Well," and I said, "Jock." That's all I said. And he said, "What do you think about this?" And I'm like, "It's a text." And I'm like, "What the fuck? I'm taking my morning shit. What are you talking about?" In my head, Later on, he sends me a promo, and he's fucking hot that he has wrestled students. So I thought, hey, that should be a good match. Whoever he draws, whichever student, I feel sorry for the student. I'll be honest with you. Jock's mad.
Well, see, the thing is, like, Jock went through a period not too long ago where he was like out collecting belts too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude was like, I'll come wrestling your shitty little promotion, but I'm taking your belt home with me when I go.
Oh, he was going to Buffalo. He was going to Columbus. He was going to Cleveland. He come down here to West Virginia to ASW. He come over here to FTC. Those are just places I know about where he's booked at, man.
Yeah. But see, then I realized what was going on is Jock needs at least 4 belts to hold his fucking pants up. So,
Well, I'll tell him you said if he don't listen. I don't know if he does or not, but I know he has in the past. He's cut promos for us. He's been on a program.
I know he has because I've gotten pissed off phone calls from him.
Exactly. And so hopefully, again, next Saturday, October the 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Elks Lodge in Ironton, Ohio. Get your tickets. You can get them online at everbright.com or excuse me, I can't read. Eventbrite.com. But also you can get them at Time Warp, or you can get them day of the show at the the Ironton Elks. If you don't know where the Elks is at and you're from Ironton or Lawrence County, I dare say you do, because it's right across from the courthouse, and I dare say most of you motherfuckers been over there for a DUI or drunken disorderly or something. That's just the way downtown Ironton is, Jeremy. I'm just telling you. I guarantee it, they know where the courthouse is at over in Ironton, Ohio. I know Rob Van Dam and Sabu have been to that courthouse in Ohio, among other people out there. They have got a speed trap over there on 52 that if you go 55.5 miles an hour, you're ass will get pulled over, and you will be visiting that courthouse. So if you know where the courthouse is at, you'll find the Elks. And anyway, come out to the wrestling show. They do have an open bar. So yeah, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. So
yeah, but yeah,
what else, man? Shit.
Well, I do find that interesting. Hey, Jock's not the kind of guy that would like put a crippled guy in a Boston Crab or something, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sure is, man. That's the way he is.
Casey,
we'll see.
After some of the stuff Casey said about him, even just on our show, he might want to.
Yeah.
Might want to be careful.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for all of our students, though. Like I said, it's going to be Art of Grappling from the FTC Academy, and then Chance Profits bringing some guys from Body Slam Academy. And Chance is wrestling, like I said, Misery and Jock and some other people involved. And of course, we do have a girls' match scheduled, and so it'll be interesting to see. Fun. And it's, again, we kind of put it out there for the students to so they had something to work towards, because all of them have had matches. Now it's just going to be, let's see how much you improved since last January, let's see where you're at, with these challenges. Okay. So that's fun to be a part of, man.
Yeah. And students, if any of the students out there are listening, try not to think about the time that Hiro Matsuda broke Hulk Hogan's leg.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I told someone the other day, I said, you think some of this training here is hard. I said, imagine being in Tampa and having Hiro Matsuda train you. I said, if you go back and just know about some of that, and I said, the reason I know, I said, because I was in Tampa for 3 months, and then I moved down there full time in August, and it's hotter as fucking Hades down there, and I was under Malenko's tutelage out there doing conditioning, and I wasn't even in a ring. I was like, damn, but I did it, and I did it for a reason, because I had a goal, and that's the whole thing. I'm trying to pay it forward and teach these young students. I tell them, you may know the cost. It's no Gotch thing. You may know the cost. You don't know the value, and the value is this. One day you're going to look back, and realize if you made that sacrifice and you wanted to make it, and this is what you chose to do with your life, you got this opportunity because you're getting, excellent training from Jillian Hall. You're getting excellent training from myself. And, now Chance Profits bringing his students down. He was involved in the NWA for years. The man is very educated, very smart to the business, and has his own, academy going. This is a tremendous opportunity to be trained and be trained properly and trained right. I have not put anyone through. It's been a few years. When I was younger, I used to have some of the students go through some of the stuff that I did with Malenko's. Go out on the track and run one lap and drop down and do 25 push-ups, 25 Hindus. Do that for all 8 lanes all the way out. By the end of the day, you've got about 400 to 500 Hindu squats, 400 to 500 push-ups, and 4 to 5 miles, depending on how many lanes you choose to do that. Or go find a college in your area or high school that has steps. Get up there and run. I used to do, there was 97 of them, and I'd run at this community college up these steps, do 10 Hindu squats, 10 push-ups, walk down, do it again. Do that 10 times. You got get you about 1,000 steps in a day, just in one workout. That shit works. When Malenko's out there telling you that, it works. It does. So many students that's listening to this program, or if you're an up and coming wrestler, or you happen to be, wants to change your training up, go try some of those things. It works, man.
Well, I believe Boris Malenko was kind of in that. I mean, I understand they didn't get along, but it was from that Gotch school of mentality that there's a kind of conditioning that gymnasts and wrestlers do because they're the only ones that can snatch a human weight right over their head.
Yeah. Problem. Yeah. They was on and off again through a relationship. They had a lot of respect for each other. There was just times, the way Larry done his business, the way Gotch done his. They were. As Malenko said, he was the only babyface to come out of the locker room and help him in a riot situation. I think as the one when he got sliced in Richmond, Virginia. I think he had like 76 stitches down his back or something, and Gotch came out of the back. And I could be mixing two stories together, just saying, but that was that. But yeah. Anyway, you know what we need to do, don't you? We need to drop in that commercial for. I think now would be an appropriate time because I'm going to be talking about the Bluegrass Con coming up.
Oh yeah.
Let's put in a commercial there.
Well, let's do the time warp again, so to speak.
Okay, there you go. Don't go to Meatloaf again. Oh no, Meatloaf again. Come on.
Oh shit.
Oh, please.
All right.
Drop a commercial in.
There we go.
Hey, video gamers, sports fans, and nostalgia enthusiasts. This is Bobby Blaze. Are you ready for a time warp? Time Warp is a brick-and-mortar hobby shop with a high selection of everything sports, gaming, and collectibles right in downtown Ashland in 2 locations at the Ashland Town Center. They've got vintage toys, sport cards, and collectibles. Tons of wrestling merch. It's the largest selection of memorabilia in the tri-state. Time Warp also has an extensive inventory of vintage and current video games and consoles. It's a 100% must visit for retro gamers. Time Warp buys your collectibles daily and are open 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're only closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Check out their Facebook page at Time Warp Ashland.
There you have it, folks. Go check if you're in the area. Remember, I just talked to Earl on Twitter the other day, and I was like, hey, I want to get out your guys' way because I want to check your store out. Because Bobby, I'm sure you probably have heard me say this. I owned a video game and collectible store in the mid-90s.
You've mentioned it, yes.
Yeah, so I'm kind of excited to see what somebody else has got going on, especially in this day and age where there's so much more, kitschy shit out there that you can get into,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what else. Since we was talking about FTC and we're talking about the Time Warp, coming November 6th. I know you think this is our show this week, folks. If you're in driving distance, and I think there's people actually flying in from what I heard, the Bluegrass Wrestling Con. Lexicon was a couple weeks ago. WrestleCade is going to be in a few more weeks. This will be right in between this. Saturday, November 6th, in beautiful downtown Ashland. At the Highland Museum, and it is right downtown, folks, from noon until 6. Man, this is just going to be awesome. It's the Bluegrass Wrestling Con, sponsored by the Time Warp and FTC Wrestling. Gail Kim, The Godfather, myself, Lex Luger, Billy Gunn, Coco Beware. And these last 2, I'm just kind of putting out there, man. I'm excited to hear both these guys going to be here. Magnum TA and Stan the Man Hansen are both going to be here.
Good Lord.
There's 25 vendors tables that's already been purchased. I am not going to speak about who. I told Professor off air. There's a couple people supposedly coming in, but I cannot confirm those. But I do know that one table that has been sponsored is legit, or they're all legit, not say that as far as committed to. Let me say it, by contract. I can't, and I honestly cannot remember which promotion is, but I just found out the other day, Rhino is going to be here. And man, Rhino's going to be in Ashland that day. And the only reason I said because I cannot think I know the promoter, but I cannot think of the group. And a very reputable man, and he's bringing in Rhino. That's going to be at his table. I won't reveal who it is because 2 reasons. One, I just really don't remember what his wrestling company is, and I don't want to say his name on air right now without speaking to him personally. But I did speak to Earl, and Earl spoke to him personally and said, yes, Bobby, he has sponsored Rhino, and he is coming in. The contract is signed. So in addition to the ones I've told you about, we now have Rhino coming in, and I know I'm holding off on telling you a couple more names until I get confirmation about those names from Earl or Joe, one or the other. That's cool. But, that should be a good day. It's $25 entry fee, but, it's an all-day pass. It's from noon to 6. It's just going to be awesome, man. I think this is good for the wrestling community in this area. It has been growing back up, building back up, as you've heard me talk about. But also, I was talking to a couple friends yesterday. They was talking about my appearance at the Time Warp, that they heard it went really well. I think both of them know who Earl is, and I don't know if they spoke him directly or his staff or what have you. They had both just heard that I done good, and I was like, yeah, I was very pleased with the turnout, as you and I spoke about here on the program. I think this is very good for the Ashland, Kentucky community. Again, obviously for the wrestling community for sure. So if you're listening to this program, man, find a way to get here Saturday, November 6th, and come visit our town and hell, get to see some of your favorite wrestlers, man. Also, just so you know, some of these students and, up-and-coming local wrestlers will be involved. I'm not sure who has tables and who doesn't, but you'll get to meet some fine up-and-comers, people I've mentioned on this program before. And the professor and myself, we are going to be doing, again, thanks to our connections with the Time Warp and with our Bell to Bell Bobby Blaze podcast, we will be doing our podcast from there. My hopes is to interview several of these superstars. Well, actually, I take it back. My hope is to introduce several of these superstars to the professor, Jeremy Vilmer, and say, Jeremy, I have so-and-so with me right now, and Jeremy can do the interview because he's the professor, and that's his gig, and then I'll just be on a second set of headphones, feeding them like, hey, here's so-and-so, and we'll hopefully make a program out of that you folks will get to enjoy. If you can't make it in, that you'll say, oh, okay, Bobby had on, so-and-so. Again, I won't mention so-and-so now because I don't know who that's going to be. Right. I'm hoping I can get several of these people and girls to come on and say, hey, I don't know if you saw it, our random Mick Foley one that our friend Tex Johnson had sent. I sent that out this week where Mick was at a meet and greet, and he said, hey, you're listening to this Mankind, Mick Foley, Dude Love, whatever, and you're listening to the Bell Bobby Blaze. Yeah, Tex got several of those. I'm going to find the rock and roll one that William Harding sent where Rock and Roll Express put us over. And I've got one somewhere I think where Get Ready to Have a Shot. Ron Fuller put us over. Also talking about YouTube a little bit earlier, go to Southeastern Rewind. I watched it Friday night, had Les Thatcher and Ron Fuller on there talking about the Rewind. That's a hell of a good channel on YouTube. If you can, go subscribe. Tell him I sent you, man. Tell Big Ron Fuller that I sent you to that YouTube. He's got almost 2,000 subscribers now, and I really want to see him bust that page out because, man, he's got stuff on there from the old Southeastern in Knoxville from 78, and now he's got stuff up here from 88 in the USA. I mean, it's just a good channel, man, if you're an old-time wrestling fan. So I'd plug that too, Jeremy. Seems like we're just plugging everything today. Fuck.
Well, it's a plug episode, It's
plug episode, yeah. The non-dark side, the plug episode, call it what you will.
Yeah, sometimes we got to just wash our brains down. I mean.
Yeah. I know I told you earlier I'm sure if I read this correct, because I said I went at Dark Side. I know Bruiser does have an episode. If I'm not mistaken, I think next week is Onita. Don't hold me to it, but I think it's like Blood and Wire or something like that, and it's about Onita. I'm not looking off a script. I'm going by something I read earlier. I think that's next in the sequence. So Onita ought to be a good one.
That should be a good one. Look, I hate to even admit it, but there's a
FTW.
I do love me some garbage wrestling.
FTM, Frontier Martial Arts. Yeah. FMW. Frontier. Okay, yeah. Anyway, check your local listings for Vice TV. I don't know. I'm almost positive that that if I read that correctly, because I went off of someone else's podcast thinking that Bedlam was this week, but I think Onita is next week. So I'm not if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know.
That Bruiser Bedlam, I'm hoping that comes up because I don't know a lot about him. So I can actually treat that like an interview episode and have you kind of guide me through,
Yeah. I got to know him pretty good during our short time together. So
prison?
Yeah.
In prison or where?
No. He had that big tattoo on his stomach, True to the Crew. That was a prison type thing. And I'll go into more detail about that. No, he just in Smoky Mountain, and actually we traveled together. We've done some shows in the Detroit area too. But yeah, from what I can tell, next episode, September 30th, is going to be Blood and Wire, Onita. Onita's FMW. So that should be interesting. We'll maybe talk about that briefly next week. We'll see how that comes out. But I'm with you. I'm very interested in that.
Well, that's
because I've worked with several of those guys from FMW.
Yeah, well, that's where and I was going to mention, and that's where Mike Awesome.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's where Mike Awesome got some of his biggest feuds and everything from there.
Yeah, he left Florida. That's where he was at. I knew Mike from Florida, and I knew him while he was wrestling for FMW. Mark Starr, trying to think of who else that was over there while I was still. When I was there, actually, I spoke to guys that were on tour. Ricky Morton went over one time, if I'm not mistaken, for that group for like a week tour. But Ricky Fuji worked there, and I got to know Ricky pretty good. And Ishiban Kid, he worked there. I got to know him a little bit, a couple of Japanese stars. So anyway, yeah, I'm interested to see some of the guys from Michinoku actually did some talent exchange. When those guys came over, they went to FMW for that week or what have you. Now, when I was there, I didn't work for FMW, but I did work with several of the guys that worked there, while I was there. But again, that's for another episode maybe. So just putting it out there, man. What else we got to talk about, Professor? Anything?
I think, Bobby, believe it or not, I think we might be winding down. I did just find and share a funny story from Kayfabe News.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with kayfabenews.com. They're kind of like the Onion of wrestling news.
Okay. I'm not. Yeah. I'm familiar with the Onion, but...
it says, Ted Turner buys AEW. I'm back in the wrestling business, Vince.
I like it a lot. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, that story always cracks me up. Well, I'm in the entertainment business.
Yeah,
because that's not what Ted Turner was in, owning the Braves and a couple TV stations.
Yeah,
okay.
And wrestling was the first thing that really made him money. For his
that was his non
straight shoot. Yeah, straight shoot, man. He never forgot Bob Armstrong and Dusty Rhodes. Some of those guys in those earlier meetings. I read several good articles in mainstream magazines about him putting that over. But the comeback is what do you say? I'm in the wrestling business. Well, we're not. We're in the entertainment business. So, anyway,
you're going to say that to Ted Turner of all fucking people,
Oh man. We already honored Texas episode, so I'm sure you'll take us out of here with that. But I don't have much more other than, man, if you love professional wrestling, you enjoy this program, please share it. Share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook, and damn sure share it on Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter at BobbyBlaze744. And if you want something retweeted or something I can do for you on Twitter or help you in some way, I'd be more than glad to do that, because that's just the way Twitter works. Sending out those retweets and networking. I've mentioned several other, people, the Studcast or whatever program we're helping with, or FTC or ASW or ABC or whatever it may be, the 1, 2, 3s, or the 5, 6, 7, 8s if you're a fucking Kill Bill fucking fan. I'm just throwing shit out there, Jeremy, seeing what sticks. But hit me up. Be glad to hear from you.
This makes me wonder, and I don't want to go off on a long thing here. We can pick this up if anybody wants to talk about it later. But I was thinking back to when we started the show, and there was the WWE, and then there were a bunch of little guys that nobody had ever heard of or fucked with or talked about. Billy Corgan had just announced he was buying the NWA, and everybody kind of like made a fart noise at that. And I look at now, and WWE's kind of getting their ass kicked in a couple of ways by AEW. There's the NWA. I mean, it's got a small audience, but it's got a small, passionate audience who, it's specifically up their alley. This is like some old school 70s and 80s wrestling, and we get it. We get it here. We can watch it, You're talking about the small feds that are running around where you are, and if I wasn't such a fucking shut-in these days, I'm sure I would be able to find some around here, too,
Yeah.
It's almost feels like a different world out there. You know,
there's a lot of wrestling going on, man. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because, that's just in my area. That's just, I'm actually telling you, north and northeast of me, there's wrestling. There's 2 shows I know other than the October second show I mentioned. There's an October 1st and 2nd show is happening about 2 hours south of me, southwest of me. And there's another show in West Virginia that's taking place. So I know of 3 other shows over at 2-day period that are within an hour and a half drive of where I'm at.
Yeah.
One is one that William Harding used to work for, doing the photography for and videography for. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but it's Appalachian Wrestling. I can't think of the whole detail who all work for them. They're a good group of guys, but they're about an hour and a half from me. ASW's got stuff going on. There's another group in Charleston. ASW's doing Madison. There's another group doing Charleston. On the Friday, I think off the air, I told you they got 2 shows up there this weekend. And that's not counting if you go towards Cincinnati, Ohio. My good friend David Barnabas Spectrum come over and spend a couple nights here in Ashland and come by the FTC camp and stuff. And he's a manager down in the Cincinnati area. He's got regular bookings right there in Cincinnati a couple days a month, as well as over in Indiana a couple days a month. So he stays busy right in that little area. And that's not going to Columbus, Ohio, which is just 2 hours away due north of me. So if in about a 400-mile radius, man, there's a shitload of shows in this area. Some are which pretty damn good shows that are bringing in quality talent. They really are. And I'm glad to see that. People said pro wrestling's dead. People said pro wrestling on life support. Jeremy, it may be coming off life support, man. It may be that faint heartbeat is boom, 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 boom. It's coming back. And I'm glad because I want to see these young people up and coming, and I want to see the people that are working for the bigger companies, if they are released for whatever reason, they have options to go to other companies and work or make appearances at, and that's good to answer the question about the dark side. The good side is this. That's good for the business and good for the fans, and I'm going to end on that.
Yeah, that's what I kind of want to get into, and we'll pick that up some other time when we can kind of delve into it a little more. It just seems like a great time to be a fan, probably a great time, probably the best time to be a wrestler in the last 25 years, because you have more options. These indie guys sort of figuring out ways to make a living without working for Vince McMahon or Ted Turner or Warner's or whoever. But we'll get into that later. So, for the irreplaceable Tex Johnson, myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmer, and the star of the show, Arn Anderson's favorite enhancement talent, Double B Bobby Blaze. Bye-bye, everybody.